Good afternoon, or should I say late good morning. It's almost noon. By the time this compiles, it'll probably be in the afternoon. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling here because obviously we have a lot to talk about. Now, this isn't going to be a traditional forecast video where we go over all the days of the week. Okay, this is specifically going to be focused on Henri and what is happening right now. Henri at 11 a.m., about 44 minutes ago, was officially named a hurricane. It's not a strong hurricane, but a hurricane nonetheless, and nothing that you should not take lightly, especially if you're around Long Island, the Jersey Shore, New York City Metro, Connecticut, and New England. Okay, those of you in Philadelphia, you will have some impacts, but not as bad as the immediate coast. So I'm going to explain why, and then we'll go over some features here. So here is the current upper level pattern. Here's our trough and upper level low finally starting to go into a negative tilt. This is just brand new. Let's zoom in on this. You can see the evolutions. Now you see this right here. This is called divergence and diffluence. What that means is that the air is being stretched and spread. So we're having a lot of lifting. Okay, now keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, so we're having this lifting, we have this upper level low, and we have our tropical system out here. This is the tropical system, this is our upper level low. In fact, this just updated just a second ago. You can see the upper level winds at 300 millibars, 500 millibars. You can start to see the influence starting to take control of the steering of our hurricane. So we're starting to see that evolution starting to take shape. And at 850 millibars, the upper level winds, notice a focus on the east side of the circulation. That's really important. We're understanding the structure of this storm. It's not exactly the most organized storm based on what we're seeing here on the recon data. All these charts, what this basically means, and let me go back in. This is from tropicaltidbits.com, free website. Everyone can get this information. This storm is lopsided with the strongest winds on the east side. It's trying to wrap itself around, but the shear, first from the northeast, now from the southwest, is really doing a number on this storm, as I suspected, which is why I kept on hammering away. The only way you're going to get the extreme solutions, like a Cat 2 hurricane going into New York City, like some guidance was showing, was if this thing blew up now. Didn't happen, not happening. It could get a little bit stronger, maybe 85, 90 mile per hour winds, but I don't see anything that supports rapid intensification because the overall structure, the engine under the hood, so to speak, has been and continues to be a disorganized mess. Everyone was thinking it was a Ferrari, but in reality it was kind of like an Oldsmobile. Okay, it clunks along, it hangs out there, but it doesn't have the power that a Ferrari has. Okay, so you kind of see the point here. It's not the same type of monster that other people were comparing this storm to, like Sandy's or 1936 hurricane or anything of that nature. But still, it's still something to be prepared for. So this is based on all the data we're seeing. And this is why we saw the model guidance shift a bit east, basically right to where I've been thinking this is all going to evolve. So when we take a look at the surface winds, you can see Henri is really starting to get its act together on the east side. West side of the circulation is kind of pulled and disorganized, but you can see this trough here. Very important. Why? Take a look at this. Precipitable water values. You see this pull here? You basically have been dealing with a stationary front / trough that's been producing showers. Those of you in southern New Jersey are well aware of that heavy rainfall. Well, all this tropical moisture is going to get pulled into the northern mid-Atlantic. And this is going to impact everybody. So just remember this map here. And then take a look at what we're seeing on the radar. All right, let me refresh this real fast from Weather Tap. And take a look at all this. The storm is out here still. All of this tropical moisture heading our way. So within these tropical thunderstorms are going to be very strong wind gusts, some sustained winds, but the primary threat will be very, very heavy rainfall. So along the Jersey Shore, that's what we're looking at initially. Those of you back in Philadelphia, eastern Pennsylvania, you might be saying this storm's well to the east, no big deal. But this upper level low is going to be pulling all this moisture towards you. And that is going to lead to some problems, unfortunately, with the threat for heavy rainfall tomorrow. So don't be surprised if everyone's dealing with flash flooding. On the water vapor satellite picture, you can see Henri trying to get itself back together. It's just too much sheer, dry air. It's just all interacting with this. But you can see with our upper level low here and upper level trough here organizing here, you can see the negative tilt starting to develop here. And that's going to pull everything to the north. And all this tropical moisture to the northeast. Because of the strength of the hurricane, notice the ridge here, it's building, but it's not building to the point where it's going to push this to the northeast very quickly. Okay, so all of these factors, again, we're just looking at the observations, nothing about model data or which model is trending this way, just the observations. So when we have all this data and we see this evolution take place, it pretty much gives us a pretty good idea of what to expect with this storm. So take a look at the model data here. This is the old NHC forecast. This is a new one to black in as of the 11 a.m. See that very clearly here, moving over eastern Long Island and heading into Connecticut. Now you see this pull here? That's because of the upper level low. That's that little tug. Okay? Given the state of this storm, which is currently at 75 miles per hour, again, I can see it strengthen just a little bit more. Maybe 85, touching 90 miles per hour before it starts to weaken, because as it's moving slowly over here, you see how the 2 points here are kind of close together? This is much cooler water here off the Long Island coast. So as a result, and let me see if I can pull that up from Tropical Tidbits. Let me see. Analysis. Here, ocean. Yeah, this is perfect. Okay. It was not as close as I want to, but this is better. Probably should have pulled this up before I started rolling, but what the heck, right? Okay, it's perfect. You see, it's currently under this type of water right now, okay? This supports tropical systems. This does not. So when a storm moves over this area of water very slowly, it tends to weaken. So that might make you think, hey, maybe it won't be that bad. But here is the caveat. Because of the upper level low taking control of this, I think what we're going to be seeing tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon is a transition period from a pure tropical to a subtropical storm. What this means is that in a tropical system, your worst weather is focused at the center of the storm. That's why everyone's always focused on the eye and all that stuff, because your worst conditions are right around that eyeball. In a subtropical storm, that influence expands. So your tropical storm force winds expand. Your heavy rainfall potential expands in coverage as the storm goes over that transition. So I think that's exactly what's going to be happening here tomorrow. This storm's going to be taking, this upper level low is going to be taking in all the moisture and the circulation of Henri. It's going to start to transition it into a subtropical storm. We're going to begin the process. Your heavy rain is going to be focused here, but you're going to have some tropical showers and some heavier rainfall even as far back as the Poconos. And your wind field is going to expand, which is why you have your tropical storm warnings out for locations like Monmouth County, while the center is all the way out here on the east end of Long Island, because that wind field is going to expand. And so that shows up very nicely here when we take a look at the data. Okay, so this is the European data. And again, now the model guidance is pretty much all consolidating. So use whatever model you want. But you see this scenario here? You see this setup? This is your warm core, this is your cold core, and they're starting to meld into one storm. So as a result, you end up with this subtropical process. Okay, it's a very natural process, nothing crazy or strange happening, so don't worry about that. But this process means you get an expansion of the precipitation shield. You can also see that very nicely at 700 millibars with the vertical velocity very clearly. And You could also see that with the, precipitable water values here. You see this part right here? Here's your core. Here you can start to see some dry air intrusion. And then here you can see the moisture being expanded and spread out. So it's kind of getting that pull and starting to take on that more of a extratropical look. Okay? But you can still have the core, the warm core right here. And that also shows up in your 850 millibar temperatures. So it's clear. There's your warm core of the storm. And then you got the rest of the structure. So we can also look at 850 millibar vorticity, which is again lifting, a lifting parameter. So there's our core, and then you can see the rest of the lifting surrounding it. And so what does this look like when we take a look at precipitable values or precipitation in the storm itself? Well, this is what you basically end up with. Now you see this part right here for this evening? This is the outer bands interacting with the upper level low. Okay? That's what this is. And then you start to get that extratropical expansion starting to develop with the core out here, Long Island. This is why you got your hurricane warnings out here. Okay, while your tropical storm force winds expand out here. And then it starts to weaken, and under the upper level low, tomorrow night through Monday, we have very heavy rainfall. I'd be careful, those of you in the Hudson River Valley. This could be a very nasty flash flooding event for you guys. And then it lifts out, and we're finally done with this nonsense. By Tuesday morning, it's basically moving to the Gulf of Maine as a very, very much weakened storm. So that is essentially what we're expecting here. Overall, the forecast is really not going to be changing all that much in terms of what I was saying yesterday. It pretty much is in line for today. But this is why, when we looked at the data, why I didn't jump on all these extreme model guidance, shifting way to the east into New York City Metro and central New Jersey and major hurricanes, because it just didn't have the low levels telltale signs of that type of storm under the warmest waters and the best scenarios to the south of Bermuda. Didn't have that type of look. So here's where we're at now. For this afternoon, I'm going to be out a bit, and I'm going to take care of some things on my end, make sure we are prepared for tomorrow. And at 8 o'clock this evening, we will have a live discussion on the latest of Henri. I picked 8 p.m. because by then we'll start to get new data, a new intermediary advisory, and we should also have some new recon data as well. So I think it'll be a good time to have a chat at that point. Premium members, you will have the access to the live discussion, and the general public, you'll get to watch and see what I'm thinking, and we'll have a good chat. So there we go. That is your discussion for today. Of course, I will see you this evening, and as always, stay safe.